What's good, you guys? It's your boy Jay Freshman. Today we're actually going to do something different. A subscriber actually joined my Saturday live, and he had this beat where I like the melody and everything, but the mix wasn't really there. So in this video, we're going to actually mix this beat, and I'm gonna show you how I would go about it. So shout out to YMP Made It, and in this beat he actually did a great job with the drum pattern, and he didn't even really use a lot. It was just really a 808 hat and a clap, and he just put it on top of a loop. So we're just going to see what we can do with it. So let's go into it. And also, before we get into this, if you not already following me on Instagram, make sure you follow me so that you can actually join my Saturday at 6 p.m. beat critique live. And I do that every Saturday, so you know it's cool. And also, I have a thing called Good Habits for producers on my highlights on my Instagram. Definitely something that is worth checking out. Get you on the right path, get some good habits going in. And I'm gonna probably be talking about good habits along this mix. So make sure you check that out. Let's get it. All right, so the first thing I like to do when it comes to mixing, I like to analyze my mix. So that's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna turn it down because I already know this is gonna be loud. All right, so in this mix, he's not really using a lot of sound, so it is going to be quite simple, but it's still going to be a challenge because that main sound is so loud, and on top of that, it's a loop, so we can't really like dissect the sound, you know. There's like in the loop itself, it has like one melody going on and then this very sharp lead, and this sharp lead is going to hinder this whole process of mixing. So you want to just pay attention to stuff like that. And also he has the synth right here, and it's just so many like mid-range frequency that is clashing, and this is why you could barely hear your drums, and we got to fix that. All right, so let's go into the mixer. So it looks like he has growth speed on it, and the mix level is pretty low. And then he has the EQ. And as you can see from the EQ, he really cut out a lot from this sound. So, and it's crazy because the sound already still is rich and harmonic. So let's actually hear it without the EQ. I'm gonna turn it down because I already know this is gonna be loud. Yeah, as you can see from right there, that is like taking over the whole spectrum. But we're gonna find our workarounds, and it looked like he already found his workaround by this EQing out a lot, but it's still not enough. So what I'm gonna do right now is actually just render this out because it has growth speed on it, and I don't want it to just be messing up. Those who've been on growth speeds already know like this shit starts to get weird when you trying to move things around in the playlist. So it's a good thing to just render it out. All right, so now that we got that rendered out, get rid of this growth speed. Just get rid of this. We don't need it anymore. All right, so now, and it seems like he has his other drums, but we're gonna level it. So we can just reset all of this. He also has a compressor, soft clipper, and a limiter on the master. You don't want to put any limiter on your master. Like, I do not recommend that, especially if you already have it before you even made a beat. I suggest you guys watch my master tutorial because there's a lot that goes into mastering. I know you see your favorite producers, they just throw on a limiter and a soft clipper, but let's just really be real about stuff. Like, yeah, it may sound good, but it's just not an efficient way. So what a lot of producers do is latch on to these quick tips and tricks, and they see what other producers is doing, and they don't really learn the process. So it would hinder you in the long run to just have a compressor, soft clipper, and a limiter when you're trying to do other mixes. It may work for just trap music, but if you want to branch out, then it may not work the same way. Or even if you have a different mix with different kind of sounds, like you just gotta be aware of that. So I took all of that off, and now we can really get into this. So the second step now is to level your mix, and I'm gonna level out the drums first. All right, so I'm gonna start with the 808. So since you don't have a kick in this beat, and if you watch my tutorials, you know I like to start on -90 B. So I'm gonna actually put my 808 at that level. Only because there's no kick. And usually I will have my claps match my kick. So in this situation, I'll have my clap match my 808. But remember, don't only just go for what you see like dB wise. You really gotta have play it by ear, because I could tell this clap is just a little bit louder than I want it to be. So I'm actually turn it down. And then the hi-hat. Hi-hat a bit lower. And it's crazy, he only used about like 5 sounds in this beat. All right, so we got some good levels. I just want to go into the 808 and see what's going on frequency wise. I'm gonna level out the other sounds later. Just want to get the drums part right. So anytime you have your 808 get this low, you want to cut that out. It's not audible, so there's no point for it to eat up so much space. And what I like to do too is just actually grab another EQ, and matter of fact, you could just say preset and just drag it down. And I'm doing this so I could really cut it more. The thing about the parametric EQ too is not that strong. So when you want to like really cut something out, just double it up more. And as you can see, that's the difference between stock plugins and, you know, third-party plugins. Third-party plugins will actually cut this out for real, for real. So I'm gonna actually just do this again. It's a bit better. I'm not gonna get too crazy. As you can see, I already got like 4 EQs. So, and then I want to kind of tame some of this high. And that's gonna be so that the hi-hats, you know, shine. And I'm gonna actually put a limiter on the bass just in case, you know, you have these ghost frequencies that pop up. Yeah, you see when it starts to double up, it goes up more in volume. So you just want to have a limiter that just kind of stops that. I'm gonna bring it up a little bit. And then right now, I'm just going to clean up the frequencies. Like you see, this hi-hat has a little bit of low end in it. You still want to cut that out just to clean it up, you know. You don't want to get this crazy. But then you can kind of re-level. Cut out some low end. All right, so now we're gonna really get into the main part of the mix, which is the sounds. So we analyze our mix, we did our leveling for the drums, and we actually cleaned up the low end in our drums as well. So now we're gonna really level out the sounds and just go through the same process. So starting off with the loop. So this loop is still loud only because of the frequencies, but is it still feels good enough, like balanced enough, I would say. Like where you can hear the drums at least. You just want to be able to hear the drums. But you don't want it to be too low. We just want to tuck that synth in the back. Now we could look at the EQ. As you can see, there's still a lot of low end, but instead of trying to cut and see which frequencies to cut out from the synth and go back and forth like that, that's not going to cut it for this kind of clashing. You have to do something that is called mid-side EQ. That means you're going to be able to EQ the mid, which is like the mono, and the sides, meaning like the stereo. That is going to give you more control to make this whole mix sound a bit better. And I'm going to show you what I mean. So let's just bring up Patcher. First thing we're going to do is add in a parametric EQ too. So we're going to rename this and call it mid mono. And then we're going to the save preset, bring it down, rename this and call this side stereo. So with Patcher, what we're trying to do is create a mid-side EQ, since there's not an actual plugin that I know of in FL Studio that just does it. I actually use a third party from Native Instruments called Passive EQ. That's why, third party plugins are good, because it makes your life a lot easier rather than setting it up this way. But either way, we're still going to do it. So we're going to bring up Stereo Shaper. So we're just going to disconnect this, put it in Stereo Shaper. What Stereo Shaper is going to do is going to allow you to split it. So you will go to mixing, and then you go to mid. We're not going to get too much into what Patcher is about and what Stereo Shaper is about. This is just to get us to this point, If you guys want me to cover that in another video, just let me know in the comments. And then we go to output, go to send to. And the reason why we're going to send to, because if you look over here, it's on send to, and that's where we're going to get our stereo from. So now when I solo, like either one, the models, like you can hear what's really going on now in the mono part of this sound. And then if I do the opposite, stereo now. So in the mid part of this sound, I'm gonna actually cut out the 1000 hertz range, because that's where a lot of this frequency is lying. Yeah, you see a lot of frequencies over here, but that gives it that nice warm low end to your sound, because if you take this out, it's gonna really thin out your sound, especially if it's in mono. And also I'm taking out around this range as well because of the 808, and I'm picking that in mono because usually your drums are in mono. So you got to really think outside the box and put two together, So you may say, oh, this sounds weird now. Like, remember, I got stereo off, so let's put the stereo on, and I'm gonna A-B it. Off. On. You see how it just kind of dips a little of that clashing? And then for me, I like to A/B a lot. So instead of actually messing with the side on this one, I'm gonna just double it up again. But if you're gonna double it up, make sure you reset this one so you don't have the same effect going on. Maybe you can test it out if you have a lot of sounds that you're really trying to cut, like really cut, like how we did with the 808. So now I'm hearing a lot of low end in the stereo fill. Yeah, so we definitely gotta get rid of some of this low end. I'm actually gonna get rid of quite a lot because we could have the mono take up that part. So let's just A-B that part now. We can actually just come back a little with it. And yeah, you can't see it right here, but that's not a bad thing because you still want to practice, listening to it by ear and really training your ears. So don't get too caught up in that. So for the most part, this is good. And then you want to just bring back some of the harmonics. It's kind of like gain staging in a sense, but frequency wise. So I would like to do that with Blood Overdrive. Go to the preset boost. So it just kind of fills up everything that I cut out. And if you don't understand that, watch my gain staging video and I go over why that makes sense. Yeah, so now I'm gonna actually just turn it down from here because I don't want to get too low. My rule of thumb is if I have to get too low in a mixer, that means my sound is way too hot. So that's a good rule of thumb. So let's A/B it. Now we could decide as a whole sound if we want it more stereo or more mono. I'm really liking a little bit of the merge of mono. And then we can add in the synth, if we want to. But if we're gonna do that, I will actually put a patcher on this and mess with the mid side on the synth as well. So right here, I wanna make sure, see, and it's definitely taking up that 1,000 range. Like both sounds were clashing. So what I'm actually gonna do in the mid is I'm gonna cut all of that out. And a lot of you guys may disagree and talk about phasing and all type of shit. Yeah, dude, you could get all technical. We could talk about this all day long. But now it's like I'm giving this sound a different purpose. It's no longer going to be a sound that is going to stand out like a loop. It's going to be more of a texture sound now. That's how I'm looking at it. So perception plays a big part in mixing. And I'm cutting this part out in the mono. There's going to still be, that mid-range in the stereo, but it's just too much going on right now. So let's just hear it. And you could just even probably just boost in the, the side. is all about perception, you feel me? And what I would do too is put a phaser on it, just so that, because with the phaser is moving it to the left and the right ear, and it got its own thing going on with it, its own texture, and it just kind of moves it out the way. Turn that down. Make that scent more stereo. And then you can even use these knobs right here. So this is a reverse polarity. You can put it on the synth or the loop. Let me hear it with the synth. I'm gonna keep it on the loop, and then I'll swap like the left and the right channel, and that's pretty much it. Everything else is just kind of up to you on how you want to go about mixing and your creative side to it. Let's just hear it back. I'm not gonna start it from the intro. The intro is pretty long. Like this whole arrangement of this beat, bro. I would just say just really focus on like picking out your sounds and paying attention more to how you pick out your sounds in the beginning. And that's pretty much it for this video. Shout out to YMP Made It again, and thank you guys for watching.